All right, thank you for staying with the Leadership Forum and AM Live. My name is Trevor Ombija. My guests are still with me. Nerima Wako, Executive Director, Siasa Place; Dominic K. George, Psychologist and Youth Leader; Tony Changai, CEO, Acsoft Solutions and also Corporate Trainer; and Billy Mijungu, Public Policy Analyst. We are talking about the way forward for the country, Kenya, and most people, we're already getting some heat on social media. Michael Wanga says, I'm tired of move on and peace narrative. Let's talk justice and inclusivity. If it fails, then we talk secession. Very hard lines there. But Tony, I'll start with you. What has been your experience like, and what matters to you at this point? Having seen how divided Kenyans are, anytime you start talking about this move-on narrative, they're like, that's not what we want to hear. Even though you're just talking about the solutions, they automatically believe that you're talking about the move-on issue. As a young entrepreneur and the CEO of Acsoft Solutions and also a corporate trainer, what has been your experience like, and at this point, what really matters to you?
I think, first of all, Trevor, it will be wrong to say that the nation is very divided. I think when we generalize that the nation is very divided, we are not being honest to oneself. Because we, as a nation and as a young person, apart from the political divides that we have seen, socially, and even when I'm doing business, I don't choose to do business with people who are aligned to me. We are all doing business, and even in our social circles, we are all interacting in various platforms. However, what I will say concerning the division is that it's something that is very elusive. And you can see this because when we are celebrating something as a nation, we do it all of us together. But when it comes to politics, and that's when we find waves, people going from one side to another. So for me, my experience as a young entrepreneur is that Kenya is a beautiful country to do business in. And the opportunities are there, and people are willing to do business with you if you offer value to them. Okay. However, if you get lost into the division, then it's an issue of an individual perception, which again, it's a huge discussion that we can be able to have. But I don't think things are bad as we want them to look like. I think there is hope, and that's what I come this morning to speak about hope going forward as a business person.
Dominic, do you think we are overplaying these divisions?
Well,
I know you interact with a lot of the youth out there. What is the general sense? Are we overplaying the divisions?
Well, I think from the young point of view, actually, you're right. Maybe you're overplaying to a certain extent, right? The problem is the young people may say we are overplaying, but what are they doing to bridge that gap, right? Yeah. Some are too much focused on entertainment. Now, I mean, politics is not my cup of tea, so I'm just going to keep away from it, all right? So maybe for the young people, there's a bit of an overplay. What I would say is, when it comes to, let's say, the secession part, we may not be as divided as we might seem. But when we're talking about a country where only 3% are earning 100,000 shillings and above, and 42% are below the poverty line, and 60% are earning 20,000 and below, then we are not talking about sharp decisions right now. This panel can afford to be here, but the 42% who are a good majority cannot afford to come and have this conversation. They are out there trying to make ends meet. They may not be in a place where they may be invited to come and discuss here, right? So even here on this panel, we are quite on the upper side. Let's face it, we are quite on the upper side when it comes to the context of the Kenyan population. So I do think on one side, when it comes to political, we might not be divided among the young people as much as maybe as would be. But then there is a challenge when it comes to now the real, we say the devil is in the details. And let me tell you, there's a lot of devil in the details in Kenya. And I think that's what we need to work around.
All right, Nerima. Are we as divided as we make it come out?
Just sitting here and listening has made me think and wonder, because if we think it's being overplayed, why would we see people changing their surnames? I have friends who don't use certain surnames because they do not want to be branded
even
to belong to
a
particular tribe. Exactly. Yeah. So the fact that you go to the extent of changing your name means that perhaps you don't quite comfortably feel that your name in some places might deter you from progress.
Yeah.
So that in itself should be an inclination or a red flag that something is wrong.
But Nerima, the flip side to that is that maybe you don't want your name to be used to judge you before the content of your character.
So the
you'd
fact
rather
that
just
people are
keep it-
judging you
Yeah.
by name means that there is an issue. That's what I'm saying. The fact that a name can be used to put prejudice or stereotype upon you is an issue to begin with. And for the fact that people feel uncomfortable with their own name is a problem. It's like feeling uncomfortable in your own skin. It's something that you cannot change. This is where you come from. This is your ancestry. So the fact that you cannot identify with your ancestry, you choose in some instances not to relate with it because of the perception it comes with, then that's a problem. I think that's a problem.
Billy, are we as divided as we make it sound?
Yes. I'm glad we are divided. I assume we are all united for once. I mean, we'd be under a dictatorial kind of a system.
Yeah.
Division is good. Well, I think you maybe not be defining the kind of division that should be there. We should be divided. We should have different opinions. People are divided in their marriages. People are divided in their relationships. Yeah. You get, because you're not born the same way. You don't do things the same way. So division is good. Diversity is good. But how do we project diversity in a positive manner? That would be the question. So for me, I like the fact we are divided. I don't like the fact that that division has brought about stereotyping. Yeah. But that goes to tell you that the person who anchors us, the overarching person who is the symbol of national unity, yeah, who should be the symbol of national unity, is not actually the symbol of national unity. The presidency today, for example, is actually a symbol of division. A negative division for that matter.
Why would you say that?
Because you have one half that supports one person and you have the other half that doesn't, and you are thinking, okay, it should be a symbol of national unity. Really? Is it?
The argument is that is what democracy is. The majority have their way, the minority have their say.
It is paper. It's on paper that the president shall be a symbol of national unity. Under the current system, is it? Yeah. Everybody who tells you that is not it. In other words, under the Constitution 1963, that would have been possible because we were in one basket. Yeah. Right now we're in a multi-party democracy. There is no way that you can be in a multi-party democracy, yeah, and have a president as a symbol of national unity. We are pretending to ourselves. So divisions are good, but are we using the divisions positively to project ourselves differently? Okay. I've been privileged to live outside this country, and you would be amazed how Britain or the United Kingdom for that matter, how they celebrate their diversity, the fact that somebody is Indian, the fact that somebody is black, the fact that somebody is white. Yeah. And somehow in the summer, everybody there's a carnival mood around it and people celebrate it. This is what we should project with our ethnicities. Okay. But it is their system that serves them better. And our system does not serve us well. If our system served us well, if we had a robust system that served us well, we wouldn't care who a Luo is, or who a Kikuyu is, or anybody is. But at this point, when we have kind of duo-communal kind of leadership, where even if you took it the other side to NASA, for example, this kind of leadership, there would be a Luo at the top, and there would be a Kamba as a deputy, and everybody will feel excluded. So how do we have a system that seeks to unite all of us? Okay. That would be something that I would press each and every day, because if we do it and do it well, yeah, then there will be no problem. For example, a parliamentary system, when you give power or disperse more power to elected members of parliament, and you lead as a coalition, the moment you are there as that leader, you will have to negotiate with other people. Look at Germany, for example. They had the elections in under 7 hours, for example. Why? And people would say, oh, they were peaceful. But are they running the same system as ours? It is probably the United States that's the only country that is running a successful presidential system. The rest, the whole of Europe is parliamentary. Okay. Actually, for us, that is what we desire.
All right. And Tony is bringing in a very interesting aspect of the role of the leaders. And you said that we need to focus on the real problems here.
Yes, I think, Trevor, first of all, this narrative of blaming one another and complaining a lot is also something that needs to stop. Because as much as, of course, these leaders, especially elected leaders, are a reflection of the society. Yeah. They are just, a sample from the general society that we have. And that tells you that the problem really is not with that person as an individual, but every person has a personal responsibility to make this country great, starting from his own business or whatever activities that they are doing. Yes, our leaders should be able to symbolize the unity that we want. But at the same time, I think when we talk about having the power being with the people, we should be able to ask ourselves, then is that the power with the people only exercised at voting? Because if we can change that narrative and that thought process of having the power with the people just for political purposes and turn it to the values that hold us, and we say as a people we need to have values. And so when we have that social fabric that holds us together and it's united and it's common for the common good, then what will happen is the leaders that we'll get will be a good reflection of the society that has changed. So as much as, yes, there is something that needs to be done in terms of the leaders, but also the power is the people. I would like to look at this from an individual point of view. All of us need to change, and we need to get information, and we need to see the opportunities that we have as a citizen. And Billy is saying he has traveled a lot, and I'm sure he has seen that this country has better things than even those big countries talking about. However, we need also to avoid trying to bring foreign solutions to come to solve our problems. We need to look for local solutions for our problems, and it has to start from the very small unit. Basic units like family level. We need to, everybody as an individual in your family, you need to develop your family value heritage. As a business person, whether you are a student, everybody needs to come into this. Otherwise, when you keep on blaming one another, we will continue languishing.
Dominic, it's this social fabric that we're talking about, because we seem to have it intact until the electioneering period comes in. Friends turn into foes, neighbors turn into enemies. So is it that we're not able to see through the agenda of the leaders, or is it that the people need to reflect and soul search, like Tony is saying?
One of the things that, first of all, maybe on what Billy is saying, especially on I don't think any division is a good division, in my opinion, and maybe it's a position, right? I don't think there is any good division as such. Any division is a bad division. When you're talking about diversity, it's not the same thing as division, right? And I too may, just in the same way, I have traveled in the 3 continents, and I can tell you that sometimes if you were to look, I mean, Trump was a gift, I would say, in a way, to the US, because he was able to actually bring out maybe a false sense of peace that could have been there, that we are one United States of the US, but of America. But something came out that is not the case, right?
Nerima doesn't agree, but I'm going to hide a bit.
Fear.
He's still fear.
Just let Dominic finish.
Sure. Let me tell you, I actually agree with what Nerima is saying, that actually Trump won on fear, on hate. But where was that fear and hate? How was he able to bring it up if it was not there in the people? Right? So it was something that was there, and he played their own game.
So he was a reflection of the people, that's what you're saying.
And that's why I'm saying, even our politicians, in a big way, they are a sample population.
Exactly.
They're a sample population of the Kenyan mind. Is the hawker corrupt? As that many times people have said, you have been told this melon is good. Only to reach home and you find that the melon is white, the whole thing. Right? The warus that are sold on the street. I mean, the hawker himself or herself is corrupt. So it's not about the resources that you've got to be corrupt with. So the hawker has only those who are potatoes to be corrupt with. The politicians have a lot of resources to be corrupt with. So it's all about what you've got in front of you. Now I forgot your question. Please say that.
No, we're talking about the social fabric and the divisions between Kenyans and why, what really ails this country. Because is it that we can't see through the leaders when they come to us every electioneering period, neighbors turn into enemies and friends turn into foes? Is it that we can't see through them? But you've pretty much answered part of it, because you're saying they're a reflection of who we are.
It's a reflection.
That then means that we are divided as a people.
We are.
See, Trevor, if I may come in at this point, is that when you don't have a foundation in whatever you're doing, and a firm one at that, any wave that comes will sweep you. And it's because of this that I'm going back to the basics, that if you don't have very firm values, if you don't have information, and you're not proud of whatever you are supporting, then whatever comes sweeps you. And that's why we are seeing people being swayed one side to the other when political temperatures rise. And you can tell that because when these politicians change from one party to another, the whole group changes, which tells you that these people don't stand up for something. But if there were values, and I remember one time the former President Moi said that if you want to join KANU, don't join it because it's KANU and it's the leading party. Join it because you believe in what KANU is made of. Join it because you know this is what KANU believes in. So the same happens. We need, first of all, to work on the basics, the values, have information, and be proud with the choices that we make.
All right, Nerima?
Actually, I just want to chime in on what you've just said, because the quote is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yes.
But then just to bring back to what you had talked about, Jones, about Trump was a reflection of the people. He was able to bring out specific fears that the American people were going through. Why can't we say that about Raila as well? The population that he has behind him, perhaps he's bringing out feelings that a majority of the population feel, or a large number of the population feel. How come for Trump, we can say that it has worked in his aspect, but then for Raila, all of a sudden he's viewed as a thorn in the flesh when it comes to politics? And these are conversations that we honestly need to have. And these are the things that I believe as a country, we do not come face to face with. Why would he have the basis or the premise to be able to have such, such perspectives? But then we simply look at somebody who is coming in and disrupting the political ambience. He's a nuisance, and we just want him to retire. He's old, he needs to go. But we're not looking at his argument and why perhaps people are following him. Because I have been in town before, and Raila was actually going to the Supreme Court. And out of nowhere, supporters streamed in. I mean, it is amazing the amount of support that he has. So you'd wonder, why does he have so much of this support? And he is identifying with these people, and we cannot continue to live that it is insignificant. These are human beings. These are Kenyans. And we need to come to the fact that, yes, if people feel this way, it is all about perception. You cannot come and tell somebody what you're feeling. It shouldn't be important. It does not matter. We cannot.
So how then do we get that middle ground where my thoughts and your thoughts may be different, but we're still friends?
I believe we need to listen, because even as much as we have one side saying things need to stop without justice, they're talking about credibility and they're screaming about it. But we have another side that's saying, what you're saying is nonsense. You need to mute down. We need to move on. What we need to have is actually a conversation, because we have people shouting and we have another side that doesn't want to listen.
Okay.
Can I support
Yeah,
that?
you jump in, then I'll bring in Billy. Billy has been quiet for a while. Yeah,
All right.
I'm far off this side.
yeah, go ahead.
I think when a politician, personally, I'm not saying whether who is right or Raila is wrong. No, that's not my point.
Yeah.
For me, I think the focus right here is what they could be doing, both of them, in their position. I do not believe that a politician should play into the fears and should play into the hate of the people. He should play into the hopes of a nation.
Yeah.
That's what I think should be the case. When you play into the fear, into the hate, as Trump did, I think that's wrong. But playing into the hope, that's a good thing, right? And this is where I think Nerima is pointing out that we need to now to promote a culture of empathy. Now, empathy is where I'm able to look, and as a NASA supporter, maybe I am able to say, but what are the points of Jubilee? And as a Jubilee supporter but what are the position of NASA? And that's why I said we need to Kenyanize the conversation. We need to look at it that this is our story. It's not the NASA story. It's not the Jubilee story. We're not just doing it because we don't want him. As some people are saying, maybe the Central Province voted not because they are voting for Uhuru, but they are voting out Raila.
Yeah.
And some people would say the same thing, that those who did not vote, it's not because they knew what the issues at stake. It's because Baba said don't vote. So there's no critical consciousness. You are not able to criticize the issues at hand and say, but what is it good for our nation?
Yeah.
Not for my tribe, not for my political god.
Okay, Billy, where does this conversation start? Is it we keep talking about dialogue? Should it start with the leaders up there or the people down here?
Trevor, I can tell you for sure, if we talk about dialogue, dialogue is about one thing.
Yeah.
It's about inclusivity. It's about getting it right. Electoral justice, a good system of governance, and this leadership that we're talking about should be, it is anchored under a system. So what kind of system are we in? Yeah. This is a question that we need to keep asking. Because the one we have today is one that makes us, the citizens, fight.
Yeah.
For some people. But it's also cascaded to the counties in the same manner. But I'm thinking, what if we just changed it? We do our local politics, and we then fight themselves. Change the system. When you change the system, you get good leadership. Under this constitution, with Raila Odinga, you'll have divisions. You'll have people who love him, you'll have people who love him. Under Uhuru would be the same. Under Ruto would be the same. Why? Because the space is so constricted. It is so small. And in the nature of our country, you need quite a bit of a wider space to be able to play in the political sphere, to be able to give and project good leadership. This is the basic truth. But as long as we make it very lean at the top, in terms of leadership, then people feel excluded.
Yeah.
And this exclusion is all in our mind. That is the truth. Because if you go out there, you face the same problems I face as another community faces. They are no different. Yeah. Our towns, some of them have tall buildings, and some of them are look at shanties. You see the same in Nairobi, you see the same in Kisumu, Mombasa, and the like. It's quite telling that we are not so different, but it's our set of mind. Yeah. And it is what is in our mind that makes us think that we are different. That you feel better that if you're a Luo when Raila is president now, you've had that is not. I think,
Billy, the biggest problem here is the execution of that inclusivity, because the clergy perhaps have said that we should bring back the post of the prime minister, and many people are saying that then ends up being an issue of just dishing out positions to individuals and not including the larger populace. So how then do you just draw that line? Because it's always a dicey situation depending on how you look at it.
Trevor, if we're going to talk about dialogue and we're going to talk about a system of governance or bring back a position, call it a chief minister, prime minister, whichever, the basic is you will have to bring it at some point, because that is what it is. Yeah. People want to pretend that these positions, are other people not sitting on positions? That if so-and-so wants to be in governance, then this person is hungry for power. Why are you not hungry for power sitting? Why are you defending it so hard? Yeah. I always question, if you want to know the interests of the citizen, where we are, and how badly off we are, if you take the president's salary, the deputy president's salary, the prime minister's salary, and all the allowances, everything together, all this money that they supposedly should be earning, I can tell you for sure, Trevor, that they will not be able to recover it based on the amount of money they use for their campaigns. So is it really about us? No. It's about a particular clique. Okay. And it's about a particular control. All right. And this is the truth. So let us change the system to be more inclusive.
Okay. Tony wants to jump in.
I've been really patient.
You're not patient.
One thing I want to say, and this is the truth. Achieng in Siaya and Wanjiko in Murang'a have the same problems as Kenyans.
Yes.
And what Bill is saying about having discussions to do with policy inclusiveness, that discussion needs to come out. We need to come out of that discussion. And what Nalima was saying is when I look at Raila, I need to stop looking at him as a person, but to look at what he represents. And we need to start listening to the cry of that common mwananchi. And the moment we do that, then we stop the blame game and waiting. Because this country has had very good policies. In fact, we have a blueprint, the Vision 2030, which is like our strategic plan for the nation. And what this blueprint is about economic pillar. There is a social pillar. There is also a political pillar.
Yeah.
We have been so much concentrating on economic and political, forgetting that the social pillar is what will carry the others. Because even if we have very good roads, and the people down there are still not happy, then that road does not, it can only bring frustrations to the individuals. Yeah. So for me, the discussion should be, what is Otieno crying for in Kisumu? What is Salim crying for in Mombasa? What is Kamau in somewhere deep in Murang'a crying for? And we concentrate our resources and our thoughts to that. Otherwise, if we sit in big hotels here and come up with policies like Billy is saying, which I know he participates a lot, it will not help the common mwananchi. And that's why, if I come with a narrative of, I'm representing you, I know your problems, what will happen then is you will all follow me because you're identifying with my problems. Yeah? So we need to do that, and that's what I think should be the way forward.
Dominic, Tony is insisting on this social fabric, but when we bring it down to the family level, like he's saying, some people give the wrong advice to their children, which essentially fosters the ethnicity that is already in the country. Some people just listen to vernacular stations, and that particular content is what they give down to their children. How then do we make sure that things like ethnicity don't trickle down to the future generation?
I think one of the things is, our education system. Nobody is born hating. And, but some studies are showing in Kenya that actually the more schooled, let me use the word schooled because educated is a whole new matter. The more schooled you are, the more the possibility of you being tribal is higher. Now, you are asking, how is that possible? We are talking about we need to make our population more literate. But then studies are showing that the more educated you are, the more tribal you're going to be. So there is a problem like that. And now let me just give you a point here. There was a bunch of us. We were working in one country in Europe, and we were Kenyans, a bunch of Kenyans, and we met a traffic light, right? And we stopped, and we were just crossing over because there were no cars, even though it was red for the pedestrians. We found a bunch of white people there standing. There are no cars coming, but they are waiting for the light to be green for them to cross over. But for us, because there are no cars, we're just moving. All right. Then it struck us. There is no culture. We do not have that culture of using the systems and the structures. And that's where the problem I'm having with the movement of having a great constitution, great structures, great systems, and yet the mindset is still the same.
So
the
nobody follows that.
Yes, the attitudes are still the same. So we are moving structures and systems faster than the persons themselves. It's like the technology. Technology is moving way fast that if you're in Nairobi and you met just 1 kilometer away from Nairobi, you find people who do not know what a screen is. Definitely. What a projector is, definitely. So what I'm thinking is we need to focus on the empowerment, on the education of the persons themselves, so that they can be able to use the structures and the systems that we've got. Once we move on the structural side, then we have a problem. And then the family is the basic institution in a way. But now when you have a Kenyan family, that's where you have the highest abortion levels, where you have, you just listen to some of our stations in the morning and you hear the drama and the stories in there. So you ask yourself, is it that there is a problem inherently as a Kenyan that we cannot love the other person, and that the other person cannot trust that I am going to be there when I'm in trouble? If we cannot do it in a love setup, in a family setup, I think we do really have a problem. I quite agree after I said that.
Okay. Billy wants to jump into this before I bring in
I think I will make it simple. This country works, and it works better when we are all happy.
Okay.
So far, more than 2/3 of the country is not happy, and let us try to make them happy. It means bringing them on board somehow, somewhere, to be able to participate in doing something. You get? If we are not happy, we are not going anywhere. I mean, I just looked at the financial at the Business Daily, and it says Safaricom sheds 20 billion in a week after NISA's boycott. It shows you the epitome of leadership that we have. You get? So, do you want a system that embodies division, or you want a system that embodies progress? So far, we have a system that embodies division. So, can we make ourselves happy by being more inclusive? and getting those who you need to participate. I'll be honest with you. You're not going to tell lawyers, and let's talk tribe. You're not going to tell lawyers that you're going to bring Ababu Namamba to lead them, to appoint them to some government, and they will see their face in there. They'll reject it. They know their leaders. They will be thinking about Musalia or Wetangula or someone. You're not going to tell lawyers that you're going to take Raphael, for example, and put them to lead them in some formation of inclusiveness. In Kenyan context, that is not inclusiveness. In the Kenyan context, inclusiveness is those they perceive as their own leaders, being where they want them to be, doing their stuff. Okay. So can we use the opportunity we have to make Kenyans happy? The politician who will definitely do better for this country is the one that makes us happy. In 2002, that was almost there. But that optimism almost faded away. Yeah. So you do understand the kind of mind we need to have. In the Grand Coalition, at least they were squeaking around and squabbling, but everybody felt part of it. Things had to move. Why? Because people are happy. Now things seem like we're taking some traction. So can we get ourselves happy?
Just to respond on something. Just 1 minute, Trevor. He mentioned something very, very, very important. That all that people want is to be happy. For me, in my own experience, in the young years I've lived, is that you don't have to be complicated to be happy. What makes you happy is if you have the basic needs that have been fulfilled. Your shelter, you have your food, you have your clothing, and the other ones that Kina Dominic have put in the hierarchy of needs. But for you to achieve this, these particular basic needs, because I don't need to be included when we are picking a speaker from Bungoma, so that I feel as a Kenyan in Kakamega, we are okay and I'm happy. I will not be happy when I have a minister who is my neighbor. Yeah, I will be happy when, if that minister, even if he comes from Mandera, he has made sure that me in Turkana is getting the basic human needs, and I'll be happy. And trust me, nobody will care who is the president, who is the governor, as long as those have been done. Okay. So for me, it's not about inclusiveness in terms of engaging me in positions and so forth. It's about, are you making sure that my basic needs are being met? Okay. And that's why we should be able to.
All right, Nerima, before I come to you, let's see what they're saying on social media. Like you said, the people have the sovereign power, and this is your forum to speak out, leadership forum. I can see a lot of response, and Usha has gone through some of them. Usha, what are they saying?
Right, Trevor. Diverse reactions, diverse solutions for this. So I'll just get right to it. We have Irene, who says, majority needs minority. We cannot move on when a part of the country is feeling insignificant. We have Langat, who says, tribalism, corruption, and hunger for power has really dragged us back. We need to rise up above this to move ahead. We have Kerry, who says we need to accept that Kenya needs an immediate political change. As things stand right now, nobody trusts the political landscape of the country. Nobody trusts the electoral system. What would it take to win the trust of a Kenyan? That is the question we should be asking. We also have Michael, who says, I'm tired of move on and peace narrative. Let's talk justice and inclusivity. If it fails, then we talk secession. We also have Samuel, who says the people in leadership must embrace nationalism by treating all Kenyans equal without favor in service delivery and appointments, so that other communities shouldn't have the feeling of wanting to put their own position of leadership to get such privileges. I believe this has already been mentioned on the panel. We have John, who says we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Of course, this is a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. We have Marine, who says our national anthem talks about all these issues. It's high time we keep on singing our national anthem, even in parliament. We have Shaq, who says if the leaders can't agree on leading us, then let's move on and lead ourselves instead of fighting for them. We have John Gidanga, who says we must find a way of combating hypocrisy and tribalism. Most of our political and religious leaders don't speak from the heart. And we also have Mandela, who says, some guys should know that none is more Kenyan than the other. This country belongs to all of us. And finally, we have Langat, who says, as a country, we're at a level in which politics has literally taken over us. Let's change even our discussions. Of course, I wish this was possible, but I think politics has affected our everyday life. I think everybody has been affected by these elections going on and on and on. So I don't really know how much this is possible. But of course, if your view hasn't, if I haven't yet read your view, #AMLiveNTV, that is how you can reach us, and let's keep the conversation going. Trevor.
Thanks, Usha. That's a fantastic job you're doing. Then, Nerima, we were coming to you, had the sentiments of most Kenyans. Some of them are saying, let's stop talking about politics altogether. Do you think that attitude of sweeping under the carpet the problem is the reason why we are where we are today?
Yes.
Because even if we don't talk about it, the reality is it's there.
Yes. And it's worrying because even when we're talking to some of my friends, and they're saying in their house they don't even talk politics at all. Their parents vote on different sides.
Yeah.
So they've just agreed as a family they're not going to talk about it. But it's worrying because it seems that people are living in this bubble, and it's a fake reality.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're going to have to come face to face with it and find ways to deal with it. But I wanted to talk about something that we had sort of skipped through. And my issue with the discussion that we're having today is, are our problems systemic? Because as much as we talk about, it doesn't matter where you're from, we're all going through the same issues. At the end of the day, for instance, okay, for example, in the US, right, they have this whole movement of Black Lives Matter, and that's because Black people feel that the police target them. Social profiling. Do Kenyans feel the same way here? Is there, or are there certain regions in the country where people feel they are not necessarily protected by the police, but they are targeted by the police? Those are the issues that we're talking about. It's not the fact that we all have the same problems. Even in America, there's a Black man who has the same problem as a white man. But because he is Black, he does not feel safe in front of a police officer. Those are the different narratives that we're trying to discuss today. And one thing that stood out to me was during the Supreme Court ruling, when we had just found out who the judges were. The first thing that we did was identify who would vote which way. And how we were judging that was basically on tribal lines and their name. So the fact that we have these discussions, that even in our judicial systems, which are supposed to be independent because they're looking at justice for the people and truth, but we still feel that tribe comes into play when it comes to making decisions, is a concern for our country. So it's not that people don't face the same issues, it's just how situations are dealt with, especially within systems that we're talking about when it comes to inclusion.
Okay. I see Tony itching to respond, but I'll give
Before
Dominic a
respond,
chance. Yes.
let me just jump in, Tony.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I would like to talk about our honesty, leadership and honesty. In 2002, for example, there was a promise that in under 3 months we would have a new constitution. It was all agreed that it would be parliamentary.
Yeah.
You remember John Michuki, what he said? That this constitution was only necessary to change when Moi was there. But there is no need of changing it now that Kibaki is there. Those were his words. So he wasn't honest. With such utterances, that is the single day that he destroyed the whole framework of what they were trying to achieve then. A system that would have worked for us, and that is the truth. The only contention with that kind of leadership in that system was, and it was an argument that honestly, if you so was against it, that you'd go mobilize people, the whole country, to vote for a president, then deny that president the mandate, delegate that mandate to the prime minister, or to be head of government. So it's an argument that sells. Then it means, let us find a different way of electing that president. Should we take all the MCS together and the members of parliament to elect that president? And then the prime minister can be prime minister based on leadership of their parties and government? It also brings the conversation, do we have a president that is elected from the parties? Or do we need a head of state who is neutral? Who really would be then a symbol of national unity?
Okay.
You get? But as long as they come from a party, we would be divided. And that division is good, though it's not good for our country as it seems, because then it's made tribal. But division is good. If you are in a board, for example, and everybody agrees in that board, you know there's a problem. And we can trace our steps back. IEBC 2013, where they used to all agree there was a problem and they had to be kicked out. You take the first Supreme Court as well. When it looks like everybody agrees, then there is a problem. But it looks like when there's differences in opinion, then it is clearly working.
Yeah.
For me, that is division.
Okay.
And for me, that is division in leadership that works.
Okay. Dominic, I know you're the one who has issue with division. So I'll let you respond
I
on
do.
this.
I still do that because I think what Billy is saying is that uniformity is not unity, right? Just because we do the same things the same way doesn't mean we are united. So, and I think what you're saying, we should not give in to false peace, whereas there are issues, we are gossiping, we are hate, but because we don't want to face the issues. And something else that I need actually to emphasize on is, we need to realize that change is not going to come from the government. Change is not going to come from the law.
Yeah.
Change is not going to come from bills. It's not going to come from NGOs and parastatals. Change is going to come from the common mwananchi when he organizes himself, the neighborhoods when they come together, when the people of those who sell sausages come together and say, what can we do to make a difference? What can we change? When neighborhoods are willing to make the step that's needed, that's when it can change, right? So, but when I think we have a culture of waiting. That, okay, if we get a good MP or a good MCA, change is going to come now. Things are going to... And I think that's the hope that was there when NAC took over. There was a lot of hope. And what was that hope? That Kenya would change. But what does that mean? That the politicians would change life for us. I mean, I think that's a bit of naivety that we have. Yeah. And that's what leads me to what I say, that sometimes we are the designers of our own demise. That if a good person with a great idea comes and says, you know what, we should go to heaven. But then our tribal God says, no, hell is better, it is warm, all right? And we say, yeah, I actually agree because he is my tribal God, and he says hell is pretty warm. And heaven doesn't seem so good anymore. Yeah. So I do think that we are designers of our own fate. I think where we are is probably where we deserve to be because we are not willing to be courageous to make courageous decisions. Okay. And I think this is what we need to look into each other. And as Nerima said, that the young people need to realize, I think the reasons why so many young people don't want to speak about politics is because of the edge that politics have taken. That it is all tribal, that it's all which side are you. Once you say a point, right? Once you say a certain position, if instead of people looking at the idea and the issue at hand, no, Dominic is Jubilee, Dominic is NASA, Dominic is that alliance, Dominic is that tribe. That is it. Yeah. All right? So, but what is the issue at hand and what can I do? And then we need to move from conversation to action. What can I do? You know, there's what we say, clean your own doorstep. Yeah. If you clean your own doorstep, Kenya would be a pretty clean country. You don't have to do something massive. Just clean your own doorstep. Okay. And that's, I think, as Mother Teresa would say, when she was said, are you going to make any difference? And there are so many people who are so poor in India and all that. She said, you know, my work is like a drop of water in an ocean. Yeah. But that ocean would not be as big without that drop of water. Okay. I think that's what I was saying.
All right. We have a caller from Nyeri before I come to you, Tony. I know you want to respond to this. Wanjiru, good morning.
Morning, Trevor.
Yes, go ahead with your comment or question, Wanjiru.
Trevor, I greet you with your panel, and I say thank you for this show.
Yes.
And let me first comment about something you said when you started off.
Yes.
You said that power belongs to the people.
Absolutely.
It doesn't belong to the people anymore.
Okay.
Because the people are manipulated by the politicians. Mm-hmm. Power belongs to the politicians.
Okay.
Because they are able to manipulate the people, and people have lost that power.
But how do we change this, Wanjiru? How do we take back the power? Because essentially it's supposed to belong to the people.
I'll tell you how. Please just listen to me.
Yes.
The other comment I would like to somebody has just said
yes.
that we are not divided. You asked whether we are divided. Mm-hmm. Trevor, we are very divided.
Okay.
Very, very divided. And you just need to travel in the public transport in wherever you come from and listen to the conversations of people to know how they are divided.
Okay.
Listen to vernacular stations.
Yes.
I was traveling on Wednesday and I was listening to a vernacular station in in a vehicle. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about this man who was ran over during demonstrations.
Yes.
They were making fun of it. They were saying that he has boycotted, he boycotted Kenyatta National Hospital. He has gone to Jaramogi Oginga. And they were making fun of it. That is inherent division.
Okay.
Then the other day, I was also listening to a conversation where a woman said that her 3-year-old tells them to switch off the TV when she sees Raila. Who has taught her that?
Okay.
Who has formed that attitude? It is the parents. We are divided, Trevor.
Yes.
Very divided.
Okay.
Now, what is the solution?
Yes.
The solution is not in the solution is not in the people, like somebody has said. The solution is not in the churches. They are also partisans. They are part of the mess. The solution is the independent-minded people. The solution is the civil societies. The solution is what Raila is doing. Pressure, pressure, pressure.
Okay.
There is no other way.
All right.
Because the politicians are simply going to manipulate the people. Even if today we said we hold a referendum to change the constitution, they will go out there, they are going to manipulate the people, and the people are going to say what they want.
Okay.
They use the mind of the politician, like you always see.
All right.
So you
Thanks,
cannot depend
Wanjiru.
on the people.
Thank you, Wanjiru.
Yeah.
And Tony, I'll come straight to you. Those are sentiments from the people who are watching. First, you said the power has already shifted to the people. We are very divided, and the passing down of the wrong morals to the children. You said this starts from the family. Now, you had that 3-year-old who automatically says switch off the telly when she sees a particular person. She has no idea. She's only 3 years. She doesn't even know what's been going on.
You know, Trevor, we are a product of our socialization.
Yes.
If I have 2 wonderful Kenyans in my house, and they are a product of socialization. I see my son doing what I do, and you cannot give what you don't have. If in your house what you have is division, you cannot give peace. You cannot give unity. But I think to respond on that and something that was given when we were reading about the different opinions of Kenyans, I think the problem is really restoring trust in systems and our leaders. That's where the issue is. And in any relationship, when trust is lost, the first thing is there has to be an intention by both parties that we have a goal to accomplish. So as Kenyans, we first of all need to agree that there is a goal that we need to accomplish, that we need to live in a country we are proud of, and so forth. So in our system, the offender, the person who feels he's offended, needs first of all also to be deliberate that we have a goal, and this other person also have to be very intentional in the actions that they take towards healing and restoring that trust.
Okay.
And that, I think, should be the discussion going forward.
Dominic?
How do we restore trust?
Yes. We are running out of time here, but I'd like to give you both parting shots each, so I'll take that discussion to the end, and then parting shots, the reverse.
Okay.
Yes.
I think what I would say is we also need to be to have a bit of a stability here, right? Yeah. Sure, there are divisions and they are there, but at the same time we are a 54-year-old nation, right? We are still learning to be a nation. US has been there for 300 years. They are still learning how to be a nation, right? So I think also we need to be stable and realize that we are still learning how to use systems, to use structures, to think as a nation. So these are, I think, what we would call, they are teething problems, I would say. They are teething problems in the birth of a nation. And we just happen to be at the very center of it. Okay. And it's the birth pangs of giving, I mean the birth pangs of labor pains, right? I don't know them either way, but I do, that's why they're called pain. But I would think for something good to come, this conversation needs to be there. And in a way or the other, it is good that it's happening, to show that we are not a dead nation. We are having a conversation, and this is good. We need to have the patience of the process.
Okay. Nerima?
Well,
do you agree with Wanjiru, though,
yes,
that the power has shifted from the people? It's no longer with us, it's with the leaders now.
I think it's still with the people, but then I'm so glad that Wanjiru called. I just wanted to ask if, after she had that, what did she say after? Because it's that passivity that I'm talking about, where we are hearing or seeing these experiences, and then we get shocked, and then we just continue with life. Like, you should say that was not right, or condone it, or something, because this passivity is where we are today. As long as you see that there's an issue and we have more people speaking up about that
picture
issue.
a situation. She was in a public service vehicle. Would
Yeah.
you, where most opinion was on one side. Would you come up with your own?
I would, because
Or
it's
do
the
you have
same
the-
thing.
do you have the
You've seen-
courage to bring it
but
up
you've seen even
when
in
they
public
start leaning against
transport,
one?
You see in public transport that there's always this sticker on the windows that says Zusha. But it's because the drivers drive crazily and then they tell you to stand up and speak up because most of the time people are quiet. But yes, we should have that mentality and attitude, because if we continue to sit in silence, that means we support. And Kenya is in a position right now where we know there are people who know what we're going through right now is not right, but those very people are silent. But we cannot continue to live that way. As long as we start to see people speaking up, perhaps you will be able to find there are people on that matatu who will join you as well. Or better to be kicked out of that matatu for doing the right thing than to sit in silence and supporting it also.
Okay. All right. Billy?
You know, Trevor, I'm just wondering that for how long would I pretend? I'm not going to pretend that things are good and they're not. We were just discussing that. You know, when we had the lady call from Nyeri, and we were like, really? Is she from Nyeri? Because in this point, no one would be willing to talk about it. She has called from a region that is perceived to be anti the kind of conversation that we are having. But she seems to get it right, that really this Raila has to keep pushing, and let us not pretend about it. He is pushing for good things, and that is the truth. And it was posterity. Because today you are in power, tomorrow you are not. Trevor, the truth is we don't know who is there after Uhuru Kenyatta. That is the truth. And if you do not get a system that works, probably we can be at a bad place. I see a lot of things regarding leadership. If you look at IEBC, for example, and everybody says, you know, this is given to IEBC, it is independent, it is the one that's supposed to do this. My friend, I have had time in government, and I know that any institution that receives money from the exchequer is not independent. It's not. Because the next day you can't do something, you'll be told, but you couldn't do that one, so we can't give you that much. They are all controlled. In fact, a senior civil servant once told me the government works like a human body. You cannot say that that your hand is independent from your head. It is wholesome. So there is no government institution that is independent, yet the insignia is government. There is no member of parliament who is not in government, yet they are all the insignias and cars are Republic of Kenya. So it is the interest, our interest, and the use of the populace to be able to gain or push your interest. So how do we get this power back? Is by having a system that works for us. The one that we have today, in terms of leadership, doesn't work for us, and we should not be shy about it. Let us talk about it, so that we tear it down and we build another one.
You get to speak twice. Parting shots, 30 seconds.
I know.
Start from you. As
I think it's starting.
Okay. He's delegated.
I know he wants to delete my parting shots. I will try to
make it quite complex.
Make it complex and difficult to digest. But really, these are good discussions, and I think this is what we should be able to encourage the media to do. And everybody in a position that they have a voice. That the issue is, how do we change the narrative? We need to start speaking positivity and that unity in whatever unit we are in. That parent who has a kid that says switch the TV when Raila is on, it's the problem of that parent. Let that unit first of all start dealing with their issues and establish values, national values that collectively will be our values. But also, to end, I would like to say that there is still hope for this country. I want to say I'm very proud that we still remained, as much as we are divided as it would be put, but we still did not go to the worst. So for that, I am proud of Kenya, and there is hope, and I'm sure we are going to have a very good Kenya going ahead when we have these discussions more, and we are deliberate about change and regaining the trust that has been lost. Thank you.
Dominic,
yes,
30 seconds.
Yes, there's something that the Nyeri woman said, that the power has shifted. I think for me that's a very, a very wanting position. The moment you feel that you have no power to make a change in your own life, and that happens in I'm a psychologist and I can't tell you that often. The moment you feel that you cannot change the line of your destiny, that's a very dangerous position. I don't know if it was on NTV that we saw somewhere, I think it was in Gishu, where after this, what happened 26, the election or whatever maybe each position has on 26. Yeah. There was someone was called onto the screen and he said, "Oh, I'm supporter of Jubilee," so we went and then we voted and then we came back. And then immediately after, someone came laughing and said, "Yeah, for me, I'm supporter of NASA. I didn't go to vote. I was just in business." And I was like, that is power. That is power, and I think that's what we need. Okay. If we can change our workplaces, if we can change our homes, we can change the nation. Okay. And I think there is a lot of hope. True.
Nerima?
Yes, well, I agree. The family unit is important, and having these conversations at home is very essential for the development of our country, but also to look deeper into why we are here now today, instead of just hearing from the narratives from our political leaders, and looking deeper into our history and finding your own research, and also identifying that we do have the power as individuals to come together and make a difference.
All right. Billy, we finally back to you.
I'm not going to do it. I'll take one example. First, I'll talk about the boycott.
Yeah.
The boycott has had us have conversations now about various people being able to even manufacture their own oils and being able to do their own milk and oil. So it has put a thought in many people's mind as to the possibility that they can also excel in the same business. And it's working. If you go to CI, I've seen it, that they are trying to project those things.
Okay.
So really, it could be looked at as negative, but it works. For me, it's something positive in that kind of leadership.
Okay.
I would think that as a country, we need to devolve more. If we devolve just 40% or even 35% more of our resources down to the grassroots, I think it would work for us. It would help limit our possibilities of having to depend so much on the national government. Also, the national government must not wait. They should do more conditional grants to counties so that we can keep more resources down there for people. Change of governance structure, very, very important. For me, that is why we need dialogue for electoral justice and change of that governance. And lastly, I have looked at the political climate. I have known the president, and I know he's a good person. I know he's somebody that's affable, that you can talk to, is understanding and smart. The dialogue between him and the prime minister can happen. And I don't know why it should wait until people are sworn in. And this